Today I'd like you to consider a career change. To give you a sense of what I'm talking about, here is a general career progression outlined by Nietzsche a century ago. Man is a rope tied between beast and Superman. Here's the same thing for the visual thinkers, just in case. So what I'd be asking you to do today is to consider letting go of the rope and going for Superman. To give you a sense of what that might entail, I'll give you a few examples of people who are already on their way. Elon Musk started a rocket company, SpaceX. He wants to turn us Earthlings into multi-planetary civilization. The plan is to get 80,000 people to Mars over the next few decades. And this is just one of his ventures. Father and son team Forgage started a food company called Modern Meadow. They want to replace 10,000-year-old animal farming technology with bioprinting meat in the lab. Ed Lu co-founded a B612 Foundation. It's a non-profit on a mission to defend Earth from asteroids. The problem we are facing right now is that we've got hundreds of thousands of potential city and country killer rocks that we can't see with our current telescopes. What do you do if you discover such a problem? Of course, you start working on a space-based infrared telescope that you launch into orbit around Venus. You can point it away from the sun, gives you a broader span of vision, and this would be the first private deep space mission. Chris Lewicki, he's a president and chief engineer at Planetary Resources. These guys want to mine asteroids. And the intention here is to expand humanity's resource base and to jumpstart an interplanetary economy. Now, I submit to you that A, we need more Supermen who start hypervisionary ventures like this, and B, you could be one of them. So why do we need more Supermen? I got interested in hypervisionary ventures 5 years ago. I was working as a strategy advisor in a consulting firm, and to get our clients to think bigger about corporate social responsibility, we asked a very simple question. If you were the world's CEO, what would be on your agenda and why? It was all fun and games in the beginning. We get the usual answers, poverty, recession, terrorism, pandemics, climate change, education. But let's face it, few of us in the corporate world take the time to give it a half-serious thought. So we went on to look at what people do, who put global agenda lists for a living. And that's when I had my first holy shit moment. I will encapsulate the problem in that very sophisticated consultant framework called 2x2 matrix. The vertical axis is space. We'll split it into Earth and the rest of the universe. The horizontal axis is time's arrow. We'll split it into next 5 years and the rest of time. Now the question is, where do we, as a civilization, spend most of our time, energy, and resources? If you judge by the global agenda lists, we are sitting tight inside the Earth Now box. Why is that a problem? Well, it's a problem because this is a playground of a beast doomed to extinction. You have many challenges to our existence that lurk outside this box, from asteroid impact, supernova explosions, and the aging sun. There are plenty, and these are not the kind of things that you just take care of on a Friday afternoon over a beer. There are also infinite opportunities outside this box. Infinite resources, infinite frontier, maybe a galactic club of civilizations we could join. And yet, we spend more time on lipstick and dung beetles than we do on the future of human civilization. I believe that this one species, one planet strategy is a very dicey one. And to keep the human project going, we have to expand the window. We need more people who can think in universe and eternity and start hypervisionary ventures. Now, I have to be honest with you, the current head count of Supermen is very small. It would probably take you less than an hour to follow all of them on Twitter, which is not that surprising. If you think about it, we have hardwired fabulous disincentives to starting hypervisionary ventures. Try turning up with a 100-year business plan. Investors would laugh at you. Anything beyond 25 years would be discounted to 0. You'd probably fail, and grand failures are not really, celebrated in our culture. Even if you succeed, you probably won't see the fruit of your labor, because a hypervisionary venture would typically take, decades, if not lifetimes. And yet, we've got several oddballs who defy the gravity of our cultural baggage and go for it. So what is wrong with them, and how can more of us get it? So I have something for you to get you started on your Superman career. It is a Superman starter kit. Right now it has just 3 items, so it's not too heavy. Cosmic perspective, science fiction, and nerves of steel. We'll start with the cosmic perspective. Now, the Earth Now box is very hard to get out of, because that's where our bodies are at. And unless you're getting a ride with Elon Musk to Mars, at least our generation's body is probably going to stay here as well. But the good news is, of course, that our minds can go places our bodies cannot. And that was a no-duh already 20 centuries ago, when Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius observed, we have the power to possess for ourselves a large room for ourselves, embracing in thought the whole cosmos, and to consider everlasting time. Today, you can get yourself that large room at a price of a book. If you read big history, it's a 20-year-old discipline that started with a very simple idea. Why don't we put everything we know about universe, Earth, life, and humanity into a single narrative? So now we have dozens of big history books. Even if you read just one, you kind of get the structural beams to hold up your cosmic perspective. And the cosmic perspective is just a wonderful trivializer of daily preoccupations. If you let it in, it will make it much harder to worry about the next board presentation, or fret over what analysts might say. And sooner or later, it leads to big existential questions, and that's where the super motivational juice for hypervisionary ventures is. So we're going to try this out real fast. So you contemplate 13.8 billion years of cosmic history, the Big Bang, the births and deaths of stars, the formation of galaxies. You zoom on the Milky Way, our solar system, the third rock from the sun. You see life emerge almost 4 billion years ago. Biological evolution kicks in with its endless stream of mutations. You have millions of species come and go. Fish comes out of the ocean onto the land, and 400 million years later, it has 2 arms, 2 legs, a big head, and it agonizes over the world going down the drain. And that human bit of the story just happened a cosmic instant ago. And in that blink of evolutionary time, we get 100 billion people walk the surface of this planet, invent some seriously awesome things like space rockets and cup holders, and now it's our turn. But you can play it forward. You can see trillions more could be born if we don't screw it up. You can see thousands of asteroids heading for Earth. You can see supervolcanoes erupt, causing multi-year winters. You can see climate zigzag between ice ages and warmer spells. You can see a supernova maybe going off in a cosmic neighborhood and blasting Earth with deadly radiation. You can see our sun age and expand, sterilizing our planet. You can see our Milky Way merge with the Andromeda and messing up all the planetary and stellar orbits. Trillions and trillions years later, you can see entropy take over. Now the question is, what are you going to do about all that on Monday morning? For Elon Musk, he figured this is the first time in 4.5 billion years of history that we can extend life beyond Earth. So he starts a rocket company. Ed Blue decides to knock off at least one existential risk off our to-do list, and Chris Lewicki, becomes an asteroid miner. So if you let it, the cosmic perspective will mess you up. At the very least, it will get you to think bigger about, what you're doing with that precious one-off shot at existence that we've got, that we call life. So let's, for argument's sake, say you've got the cosmic perspective down. You are 1/3 of the way to Superman. At this point, I have heard many people come up with what's got to be lamest excuse in the history of human civilization. They say, I don't have a civilization advancing vision. I'm not a visionary type. I'm just not the creative type. Well, you don't need to be. Vinod Khosla, founder of Sun Microsystems and a prolific investor, was recently asked where does he get his big ideas from? And he gave a sublime answer. I steal them. Most big visions are stolen ideas or a remix of stolen ideas. And the place you go to steal them is science fiction. We've got more than 100,000 authors and almost 300,000 titles. It's a gold mine. So, Elon Musk was influenced by Isaac Asimov's Foundation series. They were written mid-last century. But actually, already a century before that, we have Jules Verne pondering getting off Earth in a space gun that could shoot 3 people to the moon. By 1940s, we have, science fictionally speaking, we have colonies, human settlements on Mars and Venus and Pluto. By 1950s, Earth is a footnote in human history. We have colonies spread out throughout the galaxy, and that's how we get to Asimov worrying about the fall of the galactic empire in Foundation series. Asteroid mining is at least 100 years old, and Martians started it. In a story by Garrett Service, we have humans deciding to go to Mars, and on their way to the red planet, they encounter a big, giant golden asteroid, and Martians were mining it. By 1940s, asteroid mining is as common as brushing teeth. Lab-grown meat. Are there any Star Trek fans in the audience? Anyone? Yes? Okay. Well, replicator is a 24th century technology that was used on Star Trek to dematerialize matter and rematerialize it as food and water, which comes in very handy because it cuts out the need to stock provisions on starships. But actually, I'd have you know that the first startup working on creating organic matter was looking for funding already at the end of the 19th century in another story by Jules Verne. So when it comes to civilization advancing visions, they are in superabundant supply. You can just pick 1 or 2 as you wish. That truly is the easy part. The more difficult part is to work your way back to the present. A journey of 1,000 miles starts with the first single step. And the trick here is to figure out what that first step should be and how it can fund and enable the next one, and so on. So in some sense, you need to work your way from the macro madness of the vision to the micro sanity of the first step. The first step is generally when you need to involve other people, like co-founders, investors, employees, volunteers, and it is generally advisable to come across as somewhat sane. For SpaceX, the first step is to bring down launch costs. That's not just sane, that's very much in demand, from NASA to commercial companies launching satellites who wouldn't want cheaper launch costs. Just to give you a sense, a seat on a Russian Soyuz rocket costs $70 million today. SpaceX, up to the station, SpaceX says they can do it for $20 million. And once they figure out how to do reusable rockets that don't burn up in the atmosphere upon re-entry, they're going to bring down the cost to $200,000. So this is a reduction by a factor of 350. I think that can pay your way to Mars, bills all the way to Mars. The modern meadow guys are not running around trying to sell lab-grown meat to Tesco's and the like. Their first step is bioprinting leather. It's a very respectable $63 billion market, and they hope to get their first bioprinted leather into fashion accessories already next year. And if that works, they'll focus on scaling, scaling, and scaling. And if that works out, then perhaps we'll be more open to getting our meat this way as well. So steal your vision and work your way from the macro madness of the vision to the micro sanity of the first step. So we're 2/3 of the way to Superman. You don't need to be a whole man of steel, but nerves of steel is a must. According to Peter Thiel, who invested in both SpaceX and Modern Meadow, any inventor or founder who is doing something new is bound to wonder, am I sane or am I crazy? And there will never be a shortage of people who will tell you you're crazy. I'm quite familiar with that particular feedback. They will tell you that you're wasting investors' money, that you're going to ruin your reputation forever. Ignore them. When Elon Musk turned to space exploration, the general consensus said he's nuts. His friends were showing him videos of rockets that were blowing up and were trying to talk him out of it. And their premise was, you're going to lose all of your money. Unfortunately, that didn't work out because for Elon Musk, that was his expectation anyways. He just thought we weren't expanding beyond Earth, and we should. And that's why he was doing it. When people challenge asteroid mining Chris Lewicki, he typically counters with the only way to turn science fiction into reality is to try. And he also casually refers to himself as just another mining executive. The Modern Meadow guys typically throw the crazy right back at people who challenge them. If you think lab-grown meat is crazy, check out what we do today. We raise and slaughter 60 billion animals who take up 1/3 of Earth's ice-free land, drink 8% of global water, and account for 18% of global emissions. If Cattle Nation was an actual nation, it would be a 3rd largest emitter, trailing only USA and China. So we start with animals when we could start with cells and do cultures based on cells, which would have a fraction of an environmental impact and hopefully soon the same taste. Not yet, but soon. So what's crazier, lab-grown meat or animal farming? So pick your course and stay your course. Have the nerve to stay your course. So there you have it. Superman starter kit. Cosmic perspective, science fiction, and nerves of steel. We could also restate it simpler. Read, steal, and ignore. And that does sound a little more doable, doesn't it? Human civilization needs Superman. If you already won, please carry on. If not, do consider letting go of the rope and going for it. Make a dent in the universe. From the cosmic perspective, not much else is worth doing. Thank you.